Morning, folks. Everything new under the sun. Well, this is an interesting story. This is coming out of Reuters. I saw Paul Begley speak of this one, and I saw the news this morning. Russia says U.S. plans to strike Damascus, pledges military response. Now, Russia is coming out and really speaking a lot of rhetoric in relation to the poisoning event in Britain. Um, Russia came out and says you should not threaten nuclear powers, and he said this against Britain, and he came out strongly worded threat to Britain about their nuclear capability, and suggesting that you shouldn't suggest that Russia was involved in the poisoning of the spies. I think it's a Russian spy living in Britain, and he and his daughter was poisoned, and Britain is blaming it squarely, basically on the Russian Secret Service. So and anyways, so Russia's coming out and now apparently suggesting that it's the U.S. who's going to destroy Damascus. Well, Isaiah 17 is of course the scripture that we always refer to as it relates to the destruction of Damascus. Um, Chapter 17. The burden of Damascus, behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and it shall be a ruinous heap. We know this is a future prophetic event because the city of Damascus is known to have been to be the longest continuously inhabited city. Uh, I forget exactly how many years, but a couple, thousands of years, anyways. It's been continuously inhabited. It's never been a ruinous heap before. It's never been complete. It's never been destroyed, though it may have been taken over in battles. It's never been completely destroyed and removed from being a city. And the Bible says in Isaiah 17, it's going to become a ruinous heap, that it shall not be inhabited anymore. So this is a pretty significant one, and it does confirm that it's a future event. But what we don't know is who actually fulfills this prophecy. Who is the perpetrator? Who causes it to happen? Or maybe it's just a number of nations that cause it to happen. And we sort of have that thing happening in Damascus right now. We have Bashar Assad that's destroyed, 60 to 70% of the city, and of course he has his palace in the center of it, in the center of Damascus, where it has not been destroyed yet. And we have this article, though, from Reuters.com. Russia said on Tuesday, so 2 days ago, it had information that the United States planned to bomb the government quarter, which is basically the only standing quarter in Damascus that hasn't been completely bombed, because Bashar Assad's been bombing all the citizens around. So the U.S. planned to bomb the government quarter in Damascus on an invented pretext, and said it would respond militarily if it felt Russian lives were threatened by such an attack. And of course, that's pretty vague sort of statement. They could say anything threatens Russian lives. Chief of the General Staff of Russian Armed Forces, Valery Gerasimov, arrives for the opening ceremony at the International Army Games in 2017 in Alabino outside Moscow, Russia. Valery said Moscow had informed that rebels in the enclave of eastern Ghouta, this is where the latest attacks and mass migration out of were occurring in Ghouta. And so they were planning a fake chemical weapons attack against civilians and to blame it on the Syrian army. He said the United States intended to use the fake attack as a pretext to bomb the government quarter in nearby Damascus, where he said Russian military advisors, Russian military police, and Russian ceasefire monitors were based. So you can see the deep cooperation, military cooperation with Russia and Bashar Assad / Syria, at the very least. Sorry, I was just on mute there for a sec. In the event of a threat to the lives of our servicemen who are based in Bashar Assad's palace, Russian armed forces will take a retaliatory measure against the missiles and launchers used if that is the case. He did not say when the alleged attack would take place or provide detailed evidence to back his assertions. Basically, he's saying a false flag is going to occur, and the U.S. is going to use that to bomb Bashar Assad's palace, which quarter/compound, which in effect will complete the annihilation of Damascus and cause it to be a complete and total ruinous heap. And the suggestion is that it's not going to be inhabited again through Isaiah 17. So that suggestion means maybe there's some tactical nuclear weapons that are actually used in this case, rendering it radioactive, so that it cannot be inhabited again. So something to pay attention to as we look to the coming days. And this is Russia saying this. This is a direct threat from Russia. Russia has previously accused rebels in Syria of preparing to use toxic agents in eastern Ghouta, so they could later accuse Damascus of employing chemical weapons. And the whole chemical weapons thing, that's an ongoing story. There's still stories of that Bashar Assad is still using chemical weapons. Well, Damascus denies Western allegations that government forces have used chemical weapons. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley warned Monday that Washington remains prepared to act, if we must, if the UN Security Council failed to act on Syria. So U.S. is prepared to go alone outside of the UN Security Council, I guess outside of NATO, maybe with an alliance of nations, which would probably include Israel, to act on Syria as the Syrian army's onslaught in eastern Ghouta continued unabated. So this is a pretty significant threat from Russia, and this is coming from Reuters, a big news agency, and apparently Russia has information that the U.S. Has a false flag planned, ready to go. Why else would Russia say something like this? And so it's a pretty interesting story, and to me it does point to the Isaiah 17 prophecy, the burden of Damascus. Damascus is taken away from being a city, and it shall be a ruinous heap. The cities of Aurora are forsaken; they shall be for flocks. And so maybe just animals are living there now, and it continues. But it becomes a ruinous heap. And this, like I say, this prophecy has never been fulfilled yet. So this is coming soon. Things are wrapping up very, very quickly. I think these, as soon as one of these future prophecies goes down, I think that's it. I think that all the other prophecies are going to cascade down like dominoes in a row, and they're going to come very quickly, very rapidly, bang, bang, bang. And we'll be naming off these prophecies in the Bible very quickly once these things start going. So, thanks for watching. Look up for your redemption draws nigh.